Hey everyone, Dan here. We are a bit after close on Wednesday, March 17th, and this is going to be essentially sort of like the equivalent of a mega thread today, where we cover a ton of stocks that we've been putting out original analysis of and then follow up fresh analysis on for several days, and thought we'd throw them all into one so that I could spend some time making standalone videos for new stocks. So those will be coming out as well tonight. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a ton. And let's get right into it. So GameStop is something we've been watching for a while. And, it pushed out of this channel several days ago. And when it was moving sideways, I sort of sounded the warning that often if it's trending sideways for this long, that we'll likely push down, which we did. We got caught by this cushion of support that you see in yellow here. And now we are kind of trying to approach this 224 resistance price again. And as I was charting this today, I essentially thought, I think that the sell-off that occurred from here down to here was the big dip that was caused by leaving the channel and consolidating. So what I think is happening now is we've pushed up a little bit. And I think in the coming days, we're going to see a big move upward to sort of like finish off that leaving the channel sort of play. So the consolidation, the big dip, and then the recovery, and then the bounce. So I think the bounce is coming very soon. And, I would hope that would get us sort of like into this blue box by the end of the week. And so we have a couple of days to get there, and we'll see how we can do. But, these targets that you'll see in all of my videos, those are ones that, if it's underneath it right now, you want it to turn that into support and then bounce off that to get to the next level. Turn that into support and then bounce off that. And as there's levels that are close together, that's just going to be a sticky place for that stock. It might not bounce as hard as it does in some of the other ones, but that's what you're kind of looking at when you're seeing all of these price targets. Let's move over to AMC. AMC had a pretty good day, and I think I had said in maybe yesterday's video or the day before that, since AMC had sort of left its channel, that I was hoping it would give it essentially like the CCIV treatment, as I call it, which basically means when CCIV recently left its channel, it came out and instead of like consolidating a bunch and dropping, it actually developed the lower portion of the channel as resistance and continued to bump up, and then eventually that caused it to re-enter the channel. So that's kind of what I'm hoping will happen with AMC here, because it's sort of acting like that's what's going to happen, that it's going to use this line here as resistance up for a little bit, and then it's going to burst through back into the channel. The challenge will be then to hold it in the channel, that's for sure, because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of bullish activity for the stock to sort of use up and then be able to sustain it. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm happy with the price movement this week anyway. This green box was my original like bullish price target for this week. So the fact that we're still there and it's Wednesday is, I'm more than happy with that for the time being. So let's move on to Palantir. So Palantir, I've been saying for a while that I just had the sense that like a dip was coming. And it has struggled for a very long time now, as you see, along this yellow line. Like it just keeps coming back to the yellow line, whether it dips below and then comes back up several times, or rises above and then comes back down. But it gets caught by that price so many times, whether it's as support or resistance. It's a very, very frequent area for it to come back to. It's 24, 28. So I think sort of what it's developing here is it's kind of a weird version of a channel. It's not really. It's more like a tunnel because it's sort of going sideways, but we do have some predictability in what its sideways action looks like. If it comes down to the 24, 28 and can hold it, it's probably going to bounce up for a bit. If it falls through it, then then we essentially look for something like a double bottom, which is very common on Palantir, especially in the 5-minute chart. Double bottoms and double tops are common indicators of price reversal in this stock. And so we could look for something like that if it does dip below that yellow line, and then sort of use that as a potential buy zone to have it rise back up to 24.28. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with Palantir. There might be some more dip buying opportunities coming for it. Ultimately, I do think it's headed back into the 30s relatively soon. So, I wouldn't wait too long, in my opinion, but time will tell. Space. So this was one of my happier moments today. I tweeted out when Space got into this zone here that, Space just entered my price zone, and I was planning to start adding a small position. In case it fell further, into any of these support zones, then I would essentially average down with heavier buys. But it got into the buy zone, and I bought it up, and it looks like a lot of other people must have bought it up as well. And, it shot up from that point, and now is coming back to try to develop support at currently what is my highest price zone at 33.72. So if we get support there, we're going to essentially have a good launch pad for our next price targets, which I can toss in here now. They will essentially be this one and this one, and then we'd go about here. Okay, so that gets us into the high, like past the midpoint, the 30s at least. So this gives us basically what we can look for if we get support at 33.72 for the next $2.5–3 to get 36.04 support, and then carry on from there. But I was very happy to have respected my analysis. Sometimes you have a tendency, or I have a tendency, to do the analysis and then kind of like really quadruple, like check it, question it when it's actually happening. But I was glad that I stuck to that one. Mara was another one that I was very happy with today. I think it was yesterday that I tweeted. I don't think I put it in a video, but I tweeted, if you check my Twitter, that, Mara had like a double-digit down day yesterday. I think it was 10% or something. And I said, Mara has these really wild red and green days. So, I mean, it seems like almost numbskullish, but the truth is, oftentimes when there's a big move up in the price, you can sort of look for a big move down in the price in the coming day or days. Obviously it can put together several days of red. That's not sort of out of the question. But what I saw yesterday was essentially it had come below this 39.91, but it didn't do anything to even consider approaching that 32.47. And then when this double bottom occurred, it might have been about there that I had either thought it or had completed the tweet that said, this big down day might lead us to a big green day in the near future. And so I took a position there. And so that double bottom proved out, even though it fell back through in the pre-market, it just had a lot of strength as the day went on today. And so now we're up above our higher price target here. So we can throw in some new ones and sort of look for, say, new support here, and then I'll look for it to hold some additional levels. And yeah, that'll be a tough one for it. That 43.22 is going to be pretty challenging. So let's put that one as a green, meaning if we get above that, it could be money. This one will also be kind of challenging because of all of the topping out recently that it's seen there. So it'll be a tough one. So a few tough dollars here for Mara coming up, but we'll see if it can hold any of these support zones down. And then below that, it has big areas of support. It sort of developed something here that we might as well put in for future potential dips. All right. SNDL had some good news this morning, I guess. I didn't know until after hours I saw it, but it had a pretty steady upward tick today, so that was great. Sort of establishing support at this 155 right now. And if it does that, it has pretty good run room into 171. With these tickers that are so low in price, these seem like very small price zones, but percentage-wise, they are respectable. So keep that in mind. It did earlier hit my bullish price zone. It just wasn't able to hold it. So that's often what you'll see when we put out these price zones on Sunday nights is, it'll have a hard time holding the bullish one unless there's just an incredible amount of buying power, and it'll have a hard time not bouncing off of the red zone unless there's, again, incredible selling pressure in the market. IDEX fell out of its channel. This might be on the 5-minute chart. Let's take a look where that channel was actually drawn into. Yeah, this looks more like it would make sense. So IDEX was in this channel for a while and then came out and did the typical consolidate, drop. So this may have been the bottom of the drop for IDEX. That wouldn't shock me. It is the lower area. It fell through and now has regained the lowest price point that we had on it. I'm looking for this one to go to $5 in the near future, so that would be a really good percentage gain for anyone who can catch it. I'm still waiting to sort of see what it's going to do since it's left this channel. My question is, was this the dip that was the result of leaving the channel and consolidating, or is there more to come? I think if it comes down to retest this 3077 again and can bounce off, then I would feel really solid about it. Which sounds odd, but retesting that as confirmed support would be a good show of strength, in my opinion. CCIV continues to kind of consolidate after it has left its channel. Here's what I was talking about before. So it initially left the channel, and then it turned this bottom into resistance, and it just kept following the channel up. Then it burst back into the channel, ran itself all the way up to the top, dropped to the bottom, and looked like it might start to sort of recognize the channel again, or respect the channel, I guess I should say. But it fell through, and now the question is, are we consolidating for a potential drop, or are we going to push back up off these levels? But I feel good about it because there's some immediate support zone. So if it does get down to 28.26 again, which it did today, I would look to see what it does there. That's the point of these, is I assess what it does when it reaches these, and when it's sort of in between, I don't pay much attention to it. So that can get a little bit nerve-wracking when there's a bunch of close ones, but you set your alerts and just sort of take a look when the alert goes off. SOS had a heck of a day after a really challenging day yesterday, and then things were not looking promising in the pre-market, but it hit that 665, which we had put in our original analysis of SOS. I had said there that SOS may be coming down to fill this gap, and so watch out for that. My then worry was that it would come down to finish filling this gap, but it may have enough buying strength that it doesn't come down to do that. So, it's really respecting these levels that we drew in nicely. It's constantly using them as support and resistance. So I have a lot of confidence in this chart and think that we're looking pretty solid. I would definitely look out when we get to this area again, because it's having a really hard time not just topping out around there. So getting up past say 120, say 130 support would be really, really great for this one. NNDM also was looking very similar to SOS. Bad day yesterday, looked really bleak in the pre-market, and then rose up strong as the day went on. So it's coming out of my bearish price zone for the week and coming into my sort of expected kind of boring price zone for the week. The good thing here could be if it could get itself back into this channel, It was doing really, really well in that channel. It was holding it for quite some time. That's since March 4th when it first entered, and then it didn't leave it until March 16th. So spent quite a few days in there, and so if it could get back in, it could catch maybe that wave of strength again. What I've been saying all along is the most important price for NNDM to secure as support at the moment is $12.49. That's absolutely critical if it's going to have a springboard to get anywhere near back to where it was a few months ago. AONE is doing potentially the CCIV thing, which would make me very happy. I took a position in this like around this area, or maybe around this area. I think it was yesterday, so probably around the bottom of the channel here. I had a really exciting buy zone here, though when I initially put this out, I said it seems very unlikely that it's going to go all the way down there, but we'll see. So since it hit the bottom of our channel here and it had been doing well in the channel, I took that as the dip buy. Obviously, it dipped a little bit more, but it had a ton of bottoming out here. So that was great, gave it some strength to push off of, and then has continued to rise up today. And now what I'm wondering is going to happen, since we're seeing some higher highs here, if it's going to start using the bottom of the channel as resistance and then burst back into the channel and continue on its way up. We shall see. IPOE, I dip bought this yesterday as well when it hit this green zone here, and then it was struggling pre-market. Had a double triple bottom here and then rose up really strong, sort of almost tested that support zone again and bounced really strong off of it, and now is hitting resistance at this 1919 level that we had drawn in. So expected stuff. It's nothing to freak out about when something starts hitting resistance where you drew a line, because that's why you drew the line there, because that's where you expect it to be hitting resistance, and then what you're wanting it to do is hop over that and develop it as support and then head up to the next one. So good signs when it hits resistance where you were expecting it to. It also means that your chart is probably worth kind of adhering to or following for the time being. Workhorse, been in this for a week or a week and a half now, something like that. And this is, in my opinion, doing really, really well. It might be forming a little bit of a channel here, which could be good. And it's not sort of like a crazy channel, which is nice. Some of those crazy channels can be a bit much to hold. And so, we look for these ones to sort of give us really healthy price activity, like nice healthy bumps and then some retracements and then some bumps and retracements. So testing and retesting continuous support is the sign of a good healthy uptrend, in my opinion, and I think that's what we're seeing here in Workhorse. We'll look for it to continue to bounce off here, and then we'll set some additional price targets once we get above 1750. But as long as it stays in the channel, that will essentially be the near-term price targets. The bottom of the channel is the dip buy zone, top of the channel is the take profit zone. DraftKings came so darn close to my buy zone, which I was going to be very excited because I didn't come down to it here when I thought it might, and then it's again it was teasing me. So I might be a little too aggressive on my buy zones with DraftKings, thinking that it has any potential to come down as far as I want it to get in, but so it goes. But it's looking really strong. It's back over the 68.69, which is a tough zone for it. It's sort of a tough zone. It probably with 68.69, probably the more accurate phrasing of it is that that's kind of like a very magnetic zone for it. It keeps getting drawn to that zone, sort of like Palantir with the yellow line that we were talking about. It's it comes above it and goes back down to it. It dips below it and then it comes back up to it. So, if you're doing sort of like a short-term kind of play, like scalping kind of activity, that could be something to look for as it comes down to 68.69. Is it going to bounce off? If so, there might be a dip buy opportunity. If it comes down below, once you look for something like a double bottom or some indication of price strength upward, it could be a good opportunity to buy that dip and then ride it up to 68, 69, assuming that it's going there and holding that current pattern. Square was something that we said, I guess, sometime way back here, that this was about to blow, like meaning it's gonna blow the roof off, it's gonna explode, and so it definitely has. It hit our buy zones here, which was great. A great time to get in because it's had all this activity. Square does have a strong history of filling gaps, so I would be aware of this one, which may just present itself as a really good buying opportunity if you can get it on a dip to fill this box, which I would probably just extend a bit this way. But I would definitely look for it to hold, if it does dip into there, to hold at 226.92. And if it doesn't, then there might be something sort of more wrong with it. But I'm going to put that there for myself to see if I can get a bit of a dip buy on Square coming down to fill that channel, which it has done a lot of in the past. These are all gaps that were filled previously. All right. That'll do it for today's mega recap video. Let me know in the comments if this was enjoyable or if this was annoying. I don't really know which way it'll break, but you can tell me. And I appreciate you all watching. I'll see you in the next video.